Okay, so let's briefly go over the packaging. I'm not going to go real in-depth with the packaging this time, frankly, because it's the exact same as the last Godzilla toy review that I did. There's only one minor difference, and that is that the base is flat. If I get the Godzilla 2000 packaging, which I have right here, you'll notice that the base is at an incline. So in here, he looks like he's walking up a hill, and in the other one, he looks like he's just standing still. That is really the only difference. If you want an in-depth look at the packaging, you can just check out my other video, the link in the description. So let's move on with the review. Okay, so let's quickly go over the paint scheme. This guy is a lot lighter than his Godzilla 2000 counterpart. He is this very light shade of gray, with the tips of his spines covered in a white semi-gloss paint. This white is also used for his knees, and his chest and the top of his head. I don't know if you can make that out, but it's there. His toes and his fingernails are painted a very similar color, a slightly tannish gray. And I think they go quite well with the rest of the toy. They don't really stand out as they did with the last Godzilla, but it works for this toy. Okay, and let's see if we can get a close-up of the head. Let me move the camera a little here. Come on. Okay, there we go. I didn't talk about this in my last video, but the last Godzilla toy had a very poorly painted head. His mouth area and his eyes were very poorly painted. This time, it's wonderfully detailed. His teeth are very white, and the space in between them, where there would be gum, are painted red. His tongue is also a very sharp crimson color, and the top of his head is also painted, and you can see some striations in there. Overall, I mean, the detail in the paint for this toy is a hell of a lot better than for the Godzilla 2000. The only other thing I can tell you about this model is that there seems to be a lot of little white specks. Let me see if I can find one. Okay, here's one. Here's another. It's covered in these little white specks, and I'm not sure if that's because of the person painting it or the machine painting it, and some of the white paint, splashed on it. I'm pretty sure it wasn't intentional. It's not too much of a problem. I barely notice it unless I'm looking for it, but it is there. And to my surprise, it's missing the black dot from my last Godzilla toy that I bought from Ban Dai. So overall, this paint scheme is a step up from the Godzilla 2000, and I think it's a good touch. It makes quite a nice homage to the first Godzilla. Okay, as with the paint scheme, the articulation and mobility of this toy is a step up from the Godzilla 2000 that I reviewed last time. You can move his legs, his arms, his head, and the back of his tail. I'll bring him a little closer. His arms go 360 this time. Their movement is not impeded by the back of his body or his spines. The legs also can move 360. Both of them. They are a little tougher to move than the previous Godzilla, but the articulation is there. The head can also move 360. He can move left to right. He's looking for, those other kaiju to fight. And the back of his tail also can go 360. This adds a bit more playability than the rather rigid Godzilla 2000 toy. So, let's move on with the review. Okay, so let's talk about the design of this guy. He is slightly smaller in scale to the Godzilla 2000, and I'll bring him up here in a second to show you. But he does have much more in the way of detail. The mold is better in my opinion. You can see, you know, these individual crevices in his skin. The, you know, it's much more rough. It feels more dynamic. And plus, I just love that classic 1950s monster look. Gojira is the best in the series, in my opinion. It's a classic, and I just love this design. You know, his spikes are short. Um, it's very accurate. It just looks very good. So let's talk about the defects, the problems with this model. There are many, but there's one that's glaringly obvious to me. Maybe it's because I have OCD or something, but um, when you look down the spine, you see this one here, the biggest one, is positioned way off to the right, and I don't know if that's part of what they wanted, or if it was a design defect or just a factory malfunction. I don't know what the hell happened with this one, but it's off to the right. I've watched the original Godzilla plenty of times, and I really don't know if that's part of the design. If it is, then, you know, congratulations. They even went to that detail to have this particular spine off to the right. But if not, it is a slight defect, even though it doesn't, you know. I mean, when you put it on the side, you don't notice it if you have him from the front. You don't notice him. You only notice him if you're facing his back, which you're not really bound to do. Let's talk about the joints for a second. Whenever you move the character's arms or legs or head or tail, um, the seams are quite obvious. You can see when I move his limb up, you can see that little piece of plastic jutting out of his shoulder. His head is the same. You can actually notice it even when it's facing forward as it's supposed to be, and even more so when you turn his head. I mean, it's not really a major problem, but if you're looking to pose him differently, then it might be. The only places that it does not really matter are his legs. You can move them all the way around and they'll still look, you know, perfectly natural. He still has the same problem. You can see that these spikes will start facing another direction. There's not much you can do with that. So that's excusable. But his arms and his head, you know, I'm pretty sure they could have found a way to have the seams seem a little more natural. Okay, so let's bring in the other Godzilla to show you how big this guy is. This is Godzilla 2000. He is slightly bigger. Put him over there. And I have the atomic breath Godzilla. He just towers over them. The Godzilla 2000 is about 10 inches for my last estimate. I could be wrong. So these guys are a bit shorter than that, but they still make great desktop companions. So yeah, this guy's great. He has a great design, a great paint job, some minor defects, but it's really easy to ignore them. You know, I like this guy a lot more than I like the Godzilla 2000. Maybe it's just me. I love the classic design. I love his posture, just standing up straight. It looks great. It looks awesome next to your computer. I think this guy's a must buy if you're a Godzilla fan. You know, $10, and you get the original 1954 Gojira standing next to you or sitting next to you or whatever the hell you want. You can put him on your desk, on your, I don't know, your chair, your shelf, anywhere. He'll look awesome. You can even have him next to your special edition Gojira steelbook or something. I don't know. He is near perfect for the price and the size. I definitely recommend him. Alright, so thanks for watching. Thank you especially if you stayed through the entire video. It's been kind of rough these past couple of reviews. I'm just getting into the hang of it, so if you watched it to the end and you're watching this extra screen, then I applaud you and I thank you immensely. I will start doing some more Star Wars reviews. I have a couple of classic Kenner toys that I'm planning on doing some reviews of. You know, it's any support like this video, comment on it, share it, subscribe. It means the world to me. So, stay tuned and we'll have a new video soon. Thank you.